Sir, I would like to buy an expensive necklace for my mother.
A pathetic beggar like you thinks he can afford this necklace? Know your place, you garbage.
Execute the purchase. Now, buy the entire Beverly Hills showroom. Your expensive suit can't hide your garbage character. You are fired, garbage. Bouncers, throw this trash out onto the street where he belongs.
It was 10 a.m. on a crisp morning when Ethan walked his mother, Clara, into one of the most luxurious and fiercely expensive jewelry showrooms in Beverly Hills. Today was Clara's birthday, and Ethan was determined to give his mother an incredibly breathtaking gift. Clara, however, was visibly nervous. She kept whispering frantically to Ethan, "Son, let's just leave. I don't know why, but I feel so anxious in here. I don't want an expensive gift. If you just buy me a small cake with love, that's more than enough for me." But Ethan simply tightened his gentle grip on his mother's hand and led her deeper into the showroom, a place where people of their social standing were usually not even allowed to look through the windows. The moment Ethan stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted aggressively. The towering security guard at the door immediately stiffened his posture. Two sales associates, draped in custom-tailored suits, exchanged a mocking, sarcastic smile. In a fraction of a second, their eyes had scanned everything, from Ethan's worn-out shoes to Clara's faded clothes. They deliberately ignored the mother and son. Swallowing his anxiety, Ethan lovingly guided his mother toward the largest, most secure display case in the center of the room. Resting on a black velvet cushion was a breathtaking, multi-million-dollar vintage diamond and sapphire necklace. It was so mesmerizing that for a split second, Clara forgot all her fears and stared at it with the wide-eyed wonder of a little girl. Feeling that his years of hard work had finally paid off, Ethan politely raised his hand to call a sales associate. But instead of a regular associate, Richard, the showroom's arrogant senior manager, stormed over. Richard's demeanor, much like his expensive Italian suit, was dripping with pure ego. The heavy Rolex flashing on his wrist was a naked display of his perceived superiority. He didn't bother to greet them. He stood a few feet away, acting as if getting any closer to them would somehow dirty his clothes. Letting out a deep, highly theatrical sigh, he spoke in a wildly insulting tone. "Looks like you people got lost and wandered into the wrong place." He deliberately raised his voice so the wealthy clients nearby would turn and stare. Clara shrank back in fear. Ethan, however, replied with calm dignity, "No, we are exactly where we are supposed to be. I want to buy this sapphire necklace for my mother's birthday." Hearing this, Richard let out a cruel, piercing laugh. Looking them up and down with absolute disgust, he sneered, "Buy it? Are you joking? Do you even know what this necklace costs? The price tag on this is far more than your entire family's lifetime earnings combined. This isn't some ordinary thrift store where beggars like you can just walk in and buy things. You people are making my VIP clients uncomfortable. Get out of that door right now, or I will have security physically throw you out onto the street." Richard's venomous words shattered Clara's heart. Tears streamed down her wrinkled face. Sobbing, she pulled at Ethan's arm, her voice trembling. "Ethan, please, let's go. He's right. We don't belong here. I don't want any necklace." Seeing his mother, a woman who had shed blood, sweat, and tears her whole life for him, crying and being humiliated by this arrogant man, a volcano erupted inside Ethan. Instead of walking toward the door, he stepped directly into Richard's personal space, standing tall. Ethan's eyes burned with a fierce fire and a self-respect that no amount of money in the world could buy. His voice echoed like a roar through the dead silent showroom. "How dare you speak to my mother in that tone? You stand here in your expensive suit, surrounded by millions in diamonds, and you think you're God. But the truth is, you are an absolutely despicable human being. Every person has dignity and value, and it isn't determined by their bank balance. You are just a glorified clerk who got drunk on his own ego. A person's true worth comes from their character, not their clothes. Don't forget your place, Mr. Manager." The entire showroom froze in stunned silence at Ethan's counterattack. Nobody had noticed an elderly man standing quietly by a pillar, watching the entire drama unfold. The old man was wearing a very ordinary, faded, unbranded sweater. Disgusted by the manager's vile behavior, the old man stepped forward and intervened. "Manager, this young man is absolutely right. Your position doesn't give you the right to humiliate customers. You need to stay in your lane and apologize to them immediately." Hearing a lecture from such an ordinary-looking old man made Richard's ego explode. He turned his fury away from Ethan and lashed out at the elderly man. Gesturing with disgust at the man's cheap clothes, he screamed, "What is your worth to me, old man? Look at your ragged clothes trying to teach me manners. Your very presence is an insult to this showroom. Mind your own business and stay in your pathetic 2-cent limits, or I will have all 3 of you thrown out right now. Understood?" Despite Richard's incredibly vile and insulting words, not a single trace of anger or panic crossed the old man's face. He didn't yell back. Instead, with a terrifying deadpan silence, he slowly walked over to the glass display counter. Without uttering a word, he reached into the inner pocket of his faded jacket, pulled out a heavy, solid black titanium VIP card, and slammed it hard onto the glass. Pointing his finger directly at the multi-million-dollar vintage sapphire and diamond necklace, he commanded in a sharp, authoritative voice, "Ring up this necklace." The arrogant smirk on Richard's lips instantly froze. For a split second, he thought the old man was playing a sick joke, but the sheer weight of that ultra-exclusive card and the piercing intensity in the old man's eyes shut him up completely. With trembling hands, Richard swiped the card. The machine let out a short beep, and in the blink of an eye, the multi-million-dollar transaction was successfully approved. Panic was now visibly washing over Richard's face. Beads of sweat began to glisten on his forehead. With violently shaking hands, he packed the priceless necklace into a premium velvet box and placed it on the counter. The old man didn't even glance at Richard. He picked up the box, walked over to Ethan and Clara, and with the utmost respect placed the necklace into Clara's hands. He spoke with deep warmth. "Happy birthday. A mother who can raise a brave and principled son like Ethan is more precious than any rare diamond in this world." Ethan and his mother stood frozen, their eyes wide with shock. But the miracle wasn't over yet. The old man pulled a highly advanced, encrypted phone from his pocket. He dialed a number, and the moment the line connected, he spoke exactly one sentence. "Execute a total buyout of this Rodeo Drive jewelry showroom, right now." He hung up. Hearing this, Richard turned into a stone statue behind the counter, his heart hammering against his ribs like a massive engine. Exactly 5 minutes later, 3 massive black bulletproof SUVs screeched to a halt right outside the thick glass of the showroom. The vehicles blocked the main entrance. A moment later, highly professional corporate executives in sharp black suits marched into the showroom carrying leather legal briefcases, flanked by 2 towering bouncers. The lead executive didn't look at the millions in diamonds, nor did he look at Richard. He walked straight to the old man, bowed his head in deep respect, and pulled a stack of legal papers from his briefcase. His voice boomed across the room. "Mr. Arthur Sterling, the transfer of this entire Beverly Hills showroom and all its assets is fully complete. The previous owner was a friend of yours, so with just your one call, he has signed the entire company over to your name. From this moment on, you are the sole owner of this brand, Mr. Arthur Sterling." At the sound of that legendary name, the ground didn't just vanish from beneath Richard's feet. His entire universe collapsed. Arthur Sterling was one of the biggest investment and real estate billionaires in the United States. The man Richard had just called a pathetic beggar was now his absolute provider, his ultimate boss. Richard's attitude, his expensive suit, and his towering ego were instantly pulverized into dust. He sprinted out from behind the counter and collapsed heavily to his knees at Mr. Arthur's feet. He began sobbing uncontrollably. "Please forgive me, sir. I didn't know who you were. I have a massive mortgage. My family will end up on the street. My reputation will be ruined. Please don't fire me." But there was not a single ounce of mercy in Mr. Arthur's eyes. He looked down with a gaze as cold as ice and said, "You aren't apologizing because you insulted a helpless mother. You're crying because a billionaire is standing in front of you today and you got caught. A man who crawls for money and crushes the poor has absolutely no place in my company." Arthur gestured to the massive bouncers. "Strip the company badge off this man right now and throw him out onto the exact same street where he wanted to throw these innocent people." The bouncers grabbed the weeping, begging Richard by his collar, dragged him through the heavy showroom doors, and tossed him out onto the blistering Los Angeles pavement. In a matter of seconds, his entire career was reduced to ashes. The showroom fell completely silent once again. Mr. Arthur turned his gaze and looked at Ethan. His stern eyes now held the gentle warmth and respect of a proud father. He walked up to Ethan, placed a hand on his shoulder, and said, "Son, many years ago, I stood in a store exactly like this as a poor boy, watching my own mother be humiliated. But back then, I didn't have the courage to fight back like you did. You didn't care about your status or the world when it came to defending your mother's honor." Arthur then took the legal files from his assistant and pressed them firmly into Ethan's hands. "To manage these diamonds, you don't just need money, you need a clean and honest heart. From today onwards, you are the new owner and managing director of this multi-million-dollar showroom." In a single moment, the wheel of destiny had turned. Arrogance was permanently left in the dust of the streets, and a devoted, courageous son's integrity had rewarded him with a massive empire overnight.